I'm an outreach minister at Cham Deliverance Ministry in San Jose, California. Our ministry was born in the 1990s, and ever since then we've been in a battle with the city of San Jose over housing. But ever since we started as a homeless street ministry in San Jose, we've understood that the real cause of homelessness is larger than just one city, and if we're here with this national grouping, and we have everyone who has homelessness in every city, it's obvious that what it is, it's our entire economic system. Housing in America is organized not as it should be, as a God-given economic human right to be provided and guaranteed for everyone, but rather it's organized as a privately owned commodity to be bought and sold on the market to maximize profit. And today we're seeing the results of that type of economy, where speculation in housing has gotten so out of control, it's taking over not just the housing itself, but it's taking over all of our public spaces in our cities. It's taken over, it's privatizing parks, benches, restrooms, sidewalks, marketplaces, and frequently it patrols them with private police forces and private security forces. In our city of San Jose, the police are on constant standby in St. James Park to prevent anyone from attempting to feed the hungry. We've seen how homelessness has developed. In the discussions we've had on the West Coast, we worked with a group called Western Regional Advocacy, and they wrote a book which demonstrates how homelessness grew out of the cuts in federal housing programs in the 1980s, and that our programs now are funded at a rate of $54 billion with a B, $54 billion a year less than what they were funded in the 1960s and 1970s. And what that did is that took affordable housing off the market, and as a result the prices of rents and housing skyrocketed. And what we had were, as globalization began back in those times, and as automation began to put people out of work, what you had is a crisis of rising rents and lowering wages and cuts in social benefits, and as a result we ended up with millions of people who became homeless in America. One of the problems which we've had in the housing movement so far, and we've been involved in this for 20 years, is that we were perceived by others as poor people looking for a handout. And we who were involved in it knew that that was not true, because first of all, it's an economic human right, and as people we were just demanding our rights. And second of all, we knew that anyone can become poor, that poverty is not a respecter of persons. So we knew that wasn't true, but nevertheless a lot of Americans believe that. And what's happening now with the growth of the foreclosure crisis and with the spread of poverty is that more and more Americans are beginning to realize this is not somebody else's problem. This is a problem that is an American problem, and it's a problem that affects all of us. At Cham, we've always worked for more affordable housing, and we worked very hard for the passage of the National Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and this was just passed this year. But it's turned out to be a very hollow victory, because as soon as the trust fund was passed, they made a deal to cut the funding to it to 5% of what the original plan was about. Originally it was supposed to provide $5 billion a year and 1.5 million units of housing, but those funds have been cut to about $250 million a year. And so expanding the supply of affordable housing is one important part of our work, but we also think it's important to look at the structure of housing itself and begin to promote forms of social ownership of housing. we're interested in solutions because we've suffered from all of the violations, the economic human rights violations. Our people have been homeless, our people have been evicted, our people have been without health care, our people have been out in the streets, our families have been hurt, and we've suffered from that, and we're interested in the solution, and we feel very strongly that the solution is in some form of social ownership of housing. If the banks and the government and all of these people that are trying to make, and the speculators are trying to make millions for themselves off of housing, and that's ruining our housing market so that it no longer serves human needs, then we need to take housing away from them and bring it under social control in the form of co-ops, nonprofits, public housing. Public housing, instead of being reduced and destroyed as the government is doing now, it needs to be dramatically expanded so that people's needs can be met. And these have been the discussions that we've been having in our ministry as to how to deal with this terrible moral and spiritual crisis that we have in America.